This might be the best decision I have ever made in my life, or the biggest mistake, but I know that I have to do something. I have done everything needed to be a successful man. The only thing left is to start a family. Most people cannot believe I do not want to enjoy the rest of my youth. They think I am going to ruin myself by getting married, but I am adamant. What do you think? Is it too soon for me to get married at the age of 23? Let me give you my backstory so that you can understand why I feel I am ready. Hopefully, you can give me advice to convince the people who are trying to stop me. I am 23 years old, and I am very successful. I graduated from high school a year early, then spent 2 years at college before dropping out after getting a job offer. My parents were not a fan of the idea, but the job offered good money. Dessa and I was one of the top employees within the first year. I was earning way more than people who had spent years studying. Most of my peers were very focused on the party life, but I was focused on my goals. I bought my very first house when I was turning 22. And around that time, I got my first girlfriend ever. In school, I never had a girlfriend. I was either hustling or studying. There was simply no time. But now that I had a stable job in my own home, I decided to finally start dating. I have a very beautiful, kind, and smart girlfriend who comes from a very good home. Our relationship is very peaceful, and we barely have fights. When we started dating, I told her that I was dating to get married. I gave her the option to leave if she did not want something so serious. However, she decided to stay. She finished college not long after and started working, but I took care of the majority of her expenses. My friends always complained that I went above and beyond for her, and I had to be careful since this was my very first relationship. They were sure that she would crush my heart and I would end up a player. If she broke my heart, then I was going to go to therapy like a normal person, heal, and then try again. If there is anything I have learned that has helped me be so successful at such a young age, it is that if things do not work out, it is just not the right time. It is a sign to explore other avenues where I might be more successful. When I told my father that I wanted to marry her, he was not as supportive as I would have liked. He straight up told me to wait a couple of years in order to make sure she was the one. I then asked him how he knew Mom was the one, and he told me he had known she would be his wife the very first time he saw her. He then realized that I had gotten him for being a hypocrite. He told me to be very careful and make sure my assets were secure. The last thing I wanted was for her to get them after we divorced. I asked Dad how he could be so negative to already assume that I was going to get a divorce. He was still with his mom after so many years. How would he feel if someone talked about his divorce? My father apologized and told me that he just wanted me to be careful. Next, I had to tell my mom, and she was not as nice as my dad. My mom told me that she had hoped my relationship with Charlotte was temporary. She could not believe that I wanted to commit without dating around. How was I sure that she was the right one for me? My response to her was that Charlotte and I were very transparent about our wants and needs. We both wanted to start a family early, raise the kids, then have our 40s to relax. It was not like I was unsure whether she would say yes or not, because proposing was just a formality. My mom told me to rethink everything, but if I was sure, then she would be at the wedding. Once I got my parents' approval, I went ahead and proposed to her. I will spare you the details, but it was a very beautiful proposal, and she said yes. Charlotte is a person who loves to post everything on social media, so I expected her to post the engagement, but she did not. In fact, she was very distant for a couple of days, which made me think she did not want to marry me. I decided not to drive myself crazy and actually go to see her. When I got to her apartment, her roommate said that she had gone to her parents' place. I went back home, dejected only to receive a message from Charlotte's mom inviting me for dinner that evening. I figured they wanted to celebrate the engagement because Charlotte had finally told them. It was weird of her to be so secretive, but maybe she had her reasons. A couple of hours later, I was having dinner with my future in-laws, who were being very nice to me. Charlotte was less talkative than before, but seemed very happy to see me. No one brought up the engagement, and she was not wearing the ring, so I figured she had not told them yet. Later that evening, my father called me into his office, and that was where I had a very unforgettable conversation. He told me that he heard I wanted to marry his most precious daughter. He then asked me if I realized that Charlotte was still young and had not accomplished anything in her life yet. To his understanding, I also wanted to start a family very quickly. To be honest, being around him made me very nervous, but I stood my ground. I knew what I wanted, and nothing anyone would say could get me to back away. He told me that he did not have an issue with me marrying Charlotte, but it would only happen on their terms. Firstly, I had been wrong not to ask for her hand from him beforehand. He was not too upset about that because he realized I was young and modern, and maybe I did not see the necessity. Charlotte could wear the ring, but only when I properly proposed. First, I had to get blessings from her dad, then have an entire engagement ceremony. It did not seem like a lot of work, so I said yes immediately. Alas, that was not all. He handed me an envelope, and he told me that inside was a list of things I would have to do if I wanted Charlotte to marry me. If I failed to do those things, then the engagement was called off, and it would be up to her if she wanted to stay in a relationship with me. Her father told me to come back for his blessing. Once all the things on the list were done, and then he dismissed me. I did not open that envelope till I got home, even though it was burning a hole through my clothing. I am so glad I waited to be alone so I could open the envelope. You will not believe what the family was asking of me. It was a very long list of the family asking for luxury items. Not only that, but they also wanted a 30% share in my side business. I was shocked they knew about my side business. Only my family and Charlotte know about it. It is clear who had told them about the side business. In addition, I am to buy an apartment for Charlotte that would remain hers no matter what. I calculated the cost of everything, and it came up to $400,000. How can it not? When they were asking me to buy about luxury handbags worth $20,000 plus each, when I googled the names of these bags and saw the price tags, it nearly fainted. This was not a list of requests, it was a wish list. I have never been in such a position before. Surely it is not normal. I have shown my dad the list and asked some close friends, and they all say the demands are crazy. Yes, I make good money, but I am not one to squander it like that. If I am going to spend this much money to get engagement, and also pay for the engagement and wedding, I will be cleaned out. I am confused. What should I do? Because I love her. Comments. First comment by Indy Reagan. A list asking for luxury items is crazy work. Her parents must think that you are made of money. I am pretty certain that they are trying to use your love for her to manipulate you. Surely you are not so deep in love that you would allow them to rob you like this. You need to put your foot down. Furthermore, you are in a relationship with Charlotte, not her parents. She should be the one to decide if she wants to marry you or not. On the other hand, if you spend all this money on the engagement and wedding, then how will you give her a good life once you are married? You are doing well, but I know that you also have a limit. Speak to your girl so she can convince her parents to be more reasonable. This is wrong on so many levels, and I am actually appalled by their behavior. Update 1. 5 days later, I am having a nightmare and will wake up soon. That is the only explanation for the past couple of days that have been so messed up. I am shattered. I am in so much pain that I cannot explain. Is this how it feels when a heart breaks? Gosh, I was so clueless. I should have listened. But of course, I like to act like I know everything. The bottom line is that I was blindsided by the love of my life. I thought she loved me and did not care about those material things. I got her nice things occasionally, but it was always reasonable stuff. Besides, she never asked me for stuff. I just gave it to her. I had no idea she could be so materialistic. I spoke to her after I had digested the list and informed her that I could not do most of the things on that list. In fact, I felt like I was being exploited by her family. I thought she would understand and sympathize with me, but instead, she scowled and asked if I hated her. She told me that she was used to being the princess of her family. If I was not able to provide that for her, then I did not love her. She told me that a man had once dug through an entire mountain just to get the woman that he wanted. Surely I could buy a few items. I said that even if I bought the items, why did also have to give 30% of my business away? Also, why did she tell them about it? Did she tell them every single asset I have so they could figure out how much to get out of me? I have never heard of such a thing. She appeared very nonchalant and told me that it was not a lot for me. I was making good money and would only continue to succeed more. Besides, if she were going to be a housewife, that would mean she could not work or send money to her family. I reminded her that she could do whatever she wanted. I would never force her to stay at home. I understood if that was how things went in her family, but why had she not mentioned it before? It was starting to feel like a trap. I was pretty sure that she could never plot against me, so maybe her parents. I told her that I would take care of her and make sure she had everything she needed when we got married, but that list could go to hell. It was going to financially ruin me, and there was no way I was going to put myself in debt. And then she started crying and claiming that I did not love her before taking off her ring and basically throwing it at me. She told me that when I was ready to be a real man, I could message her, but for now, we were done. I was flabbergasted by this because this was so unlike her. When I looked into her eyes, I saw greed. Suddenly, I started to think of the warnings from my friends and family about her. Some have said she was too good to be true. How could she be beautiful, kind, nice, loyal, and not full of drama? Guess now I have seen the side of her that has drama, and I do not like it. I think that it is best for us to have a break than talk about it later. I guess I am not going to be getting married anytime soon. I sent her a message this afternoon solidifying the breakup. I told her that I would not be exploited. If she loved me, then she would not allow her family to suck me dry. She sent me a very long message, basically calling me a liar and accusing me of never loving her. I have not been okay ever since. It feels like I have lost her forever. Surely she will come to her senses. Update 2. A month later, love truly is the most powerful force in the world and also the most dangerous. I regret the day I met Charlotte. I wish I had never fallen in love with that cruel beauty. She has ruined me, and I do not think I can salvage it. I am losing everything I worked hard for, just because I refused to be exploited. When I broke up with her, she was very angry and said some horrible things to me. She even threatened to make me pay for making her look like a fool. I did not think she would be cruel enough to hurt me or ruin my life. However, when her dad threatened me, I was scared. The man was going crazy with anger because I made his baby cry. He told me to wish that I had never crossed paths with him because he was going to make me suffer. I kept that threat at the back of my mind, but I tried to move on with my life and deal with the breakup. I did not even get a chance to breathe because less than a week later, I was in jail. I was being accused of money laundering out of the blue. My house was turned upside down, and my friends and family were harassed about a non-existent crime. All of my assets were frozen, and when I tried to get bail, my hearing kept getting moved. My lawyer worked around the clock to get me out, but it was like I was being kept in there. I started to think about the rumors I heard about the ex's family being dodgy. There was never any proof, so I never paid heed to it. But now that I was in jail, those rumors made sense. I was in jail for over a month before I was finally let out. When I got out, I found out that I was about to lose my job, and my business was no longer running. In just a month, I lost all that I loved dearly, and it was because I fell in love with the wrong person. Clearly, my parents were right about Charlotte and how she was going to ruin me. However, she and her family are crazy if they think I will allow them to take all that I've worked hard for. I am going to get everything I have lost back, and then I am going to teach them a lesson for messing with me. Is this really what I get for loving her and wanting to make her my wife? They are going to wish they had never poked me. Any love that was there has turned into red-hot anger. I have spent the past couple of hours planning my revenge. One thing about me is that I never forget when someone tells me something, even years later. My family has always hated this trait of mine because they always try to argue with me about the sequence of events. I just had to concentrate a little bit. Then I started to recall everything she told me about her family. I have written down anything that might be useful and will soon execute my revenge. Instead of getting gifts, I have something more special in store for them. My family getting harassed for something I did not do was a tad bit too far for me. She could have blocked me everywhere and accepted the breakup, but she had to send her father against me. She is the one who involved the family, which is why I feel I have to do this. I fear that if I don't do something, then they will continue to ruin my life. Her father was very angry the last time we spoke, and he even told me that he wanted to run me out of town. There is no way I am leaving the town I was born in for such greedy and horrible people. I cannot believe that I was about to make her my wife. I have to say that she was a very good actor. I would never have known that she would turn the tables on me. My parents say it is better that she revealed her true self first now instead of later. And I am inclined to agree. What she did not know was that she was going to bring out the side of me that I did not even know existed. Update 3 to 1 month later. I have done more in 1 month than they managed to while I was locked up. They will think twice before trying to frame an innocent person again, especially considering all the things they are guilty of. Firstly, I asked around more about her family based on suspicions I had, and eventually I got concrete information about them running a sketchy business that is fast growing. Now, it made sense why they wanted a piece of my business. They must have thought that it would be the perfect front. I had no proof of that. I was just speculating. I made a couple of calls, and within 24 hours, their business was turned upside down. I showed them that I was not the only one with friends in high places. The best part was when they discovered that the judge they paid to keep me in jail last time had decided to take early retirement after coming under investigation. As for the cops they paid, most of them were suspended. From then on, the law worked very swiftly and built a case against them. Unlike with me, there was actually concrete proof of wrongdoing on their part. My would-have-been father-in-law got himself 20 years in prison for several crimes. He did not cooperate with the law, otherwise he would have gotten a lighter sentence. He always was a very stubborn man. While dealing with him, I also focused on the rest of his family. I remember that Charlotte once mentioned how her mom's bags that she sold online were counterfeit. I had heard it but not probed any further. A lot of people do that, and she was my mother-in-law. I figured it would not last for long, and she would get caught either way. Well, she was still running her little online store and was a reputable seller. All of that went up in flames once I reported her. Soon her online store was shut down, and her reputation was in the gutter, with some customers pressing charges. I was so glad that I remembered that piece of information once I started brainstorming. With her father in jail and her mom without a source of income, I believe that Charlotte has become the main breadwinner. However, I do not know how much longer she can support her family, because her house is about to go up for auction. I heard that they are in so much debt that it would take a miracle to save them. I do not feel sorry for her in the least, especially after what I found out. A friend of mine who was out of town recently came back, and I told him everything that had happened. When he saw who I was talking about, he was shocked. He told me that he had some mutual friends with her, and she had been asking around about me before we started dating. He was pretty sure that she knew how well off I was before meeting me. He had left town before I even got together with the girl. He was shocked that I had given her a chance because she had seemed so materialistic and without depth. That is not at all the person that I know. I am pretty sure that what we had was real, but who knows? I am pretty sure anything can be faked when you want something. It is sad though, because I thought what we had was real. Maybe her asking around about me was a coincidence, but you cannot deny that it was very suspicious. It makes me think that nothing we ever had was real. Now, I guess I must carry on with my life and focus on healing, but it hurts. I keep on thinking this is all a bad dream. I hate the fact that she is suffering now, even though she is the one who first sent her dad after me. How messed up is it for me to feel empathy for her? I am a bit messed up right now, but it will be fine. I know it will be. Final update, 6 months later. It has been 6 months since Charlotte broke my heart and nearly ruined my life. I have spent the past 6 months so immersed in my work that I have not thought about her once till now. If this encounter had not happened, then maybe I would not have even thought about her today. It is funny how the mind works when you keep it occupied 24/7. This weekend, one of my friends had a birthday, and he invited us to join him at a high-end establishment. At least that was what he told us. I should have known since he is the wild one of the bunch. He took us to a strip club for his birthday. It was not really my vibe, but I stayed for a while just for my friend's birthday. Eventually, I made an excuse and was able to slip away. As I was leaving, I bumped into a girl who was not looking where she was going. When I tell you that time stopped, it was like a movie. I hate rom-coms, so for me to compare it to that is valid. I looked into eyes that had once been the center of my universe. She muttered an apology, then tried to sidestep me, but I stopped her by saying her name. When she turned around, her eyes were glazed over and took a while to focus. Eventually, she said my name and asked what I was doing there. That was when I looked at her properly and realized she was dressed like some of the dancers I had seen. I could not wrap my head around how she could be in a place like this. She did not fit in. She was too innocent, or had been. Who knows what was real and what was false? Just then, someone pulled her away, and we did not get a chance to speak. A couple of seconds later, she got up on the stage. I turned away as she started dancing and bolted out of there. I did not immediately drive home. Instead, I sat in the parking lot asking myself what had just happened. Every part of me wanted to find her and ask why she was doing this. Surely, things had not been that bad since she was working. I could not have known they would get so bad. I had to tell someone what I saw. For days, I waited for my friends to bring her up, but they did not. Maybe my prayers worked and they had been too drunk to recognize her. However, this left me with no one to tell. Eventually, I cracked and turned to the only person I could discuss my feelings with. I told my mom what I saw and how bad I felt for being the reason she was there. My mom told me that with the way her parents were going, this would have happened. She is the one who decided to turn to such a life, even though she had a degree and a good job. She told me that I must be glad that I escaped, and then she changed the topic. However, I could not stop thinking about her and all the potential she had. I could not stop this vision I had of getting her away from that place and fixing things. But my mind rules over my heart these days. So, I will do no such thing. Do you think she would forgive me if I rescued her? Or would she get revenge on her parents? I do not know, but the chances of her ruining me are so high. So, it is better for me to walk away, even if that makes me a coward. My first breakup was difficult, but it was also a learning point. I am going to wait a while before I get married. I think I need to get more life and relationship experience. I also need to look more into the person I am dating next time. I chose to ignore so many red flags because of a fantasy. Part of it is also because I was so taken by her looks. Yes, I admit it. I was shallow and equated good looks with a good personality. Most people would rather die than admit that, but anonymity allows radical honesty. Comments. First comment by John Hicks. Wow, you are so strong for still believing in love after what happened to you. I know people say things heal with time, but do not feel pressured to move on. You will find the right person for you at the right time, and things are going to be so easy. She presented a false image to you that you would have one day uncovered. At least you did not find out about it while married to her with kids. That would have ruined your life and prevented you from ever getting rid of her. As for the guilt you feel because of where she ended up, it is normal. You must remember that we all have choices and cannot blame others for them. She put herself there. Hopefully, she knows what she is doing. Her lack of honesty and shallowness is what led her down this path. Things would have been so different if she had just left you alone after the breakup. Second comment by Macy Porter. Words 162. Damn up. I understand that what she did hurt you a lot, but it seems like things got out of hand very fast. Her parents would have eventually gotten caught, but you fast-tracked it. According to the law, you did the right thing, but how does it make you feel? I think that you are still left with a lot of guilt over what happened. You need to speak to your ex and get closure. Otherwise, you will remain in conflict. You cannot get her off your mind because you have tried to block her for several months. Keeping busy and not thinking of her does not always constitute healing. I think that you need to get closure and finally close that chapter. You still have so many questions about what was real or not. No amount of hypothesizing is going to help you in this situation. You have to get closure or you will not be able to love again.